Ba-da, 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 ba-da.
Ba, ba, ba. Hey guys, welcome to the show. How you doing, Jacob?
I'm doing amazing. A little, you know, stuck, but doing well. How about
Yeah,
you?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I'm kind of bored with all this, not getting out of the house much, not talking with a lot of people, but I'm overall still doing pretty good, so can't complain too much.
Yeah, no, I feel it. I haven't left the house today, so
I,
still here.
I know I didn't shower till like lunchtime today. This whole new schedule, man, it's weird.
It really is.
Because you don't have anywhere to go. So like your normal routine's like, it kind of just goes with the wind.
Yep, yep.
But
We're still sticking to this at least. We got something solid.
yeah, I'm glad to see you're still alive, and hopefully everybody that watches us is still going kicking too.
Although probably doing better than both of us, so.
Probably. We're probably the lucky few that's still going to leave the house regularly. So,
Yep, yep.
but what do we got today, Jacob?
So today we have a article called Online and Social Networking Interventions for the Treatment of Depression in Young People, a systematic review. Um, so a bunch of PhD people got together
Uh-huh.
and they, like the other article, they uh, reviewed a bunch of studies and kind of put this compilation together, discussing um, the effects of online and social networking interventions with depression. So I thought it was a great article. What about you?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it's scientific reading, so like it can get a little boring at times, but if we're being honest,
I will say this one was a little bit longer than the other one.
but at the same time, it was also really good information. And anybody that likes to read academic stuff, it's always worth a read, always worth checking out. It's, uh, I mean, I feel like you did a good job choosing the article today, so I really can't complain overall.
Thank you. I try my hardest. Thanks to Google.
Yeah. Well, what were your big takeaways from the article, Jacob?
So my big takeaway was the overall story of, or not the story, but the overall theme of how these interventions online can actually help somebody with depression, um, and how it really depends on the person itself, or him or herself, and not like this is the one way to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, I thought it was really interesting, just the number of different, of course, they're looking at a lot of different studies, but just the number of different ways in online intervention they're looking at. Like there was different group chats to join in on. One of them, I don't think they mentioned, but I'm actually I know it exists, I've seen it, and I'm pretty sure we have it up on our website right now, is texting chat or hotlines for suicide and stuff. Like,
Right.
now that things have gotten to the point where people don't really necessarily like calling, you can text in, if you're in a bad situation. So it was cool to see that there's like those resources as well. And I mean, there's different, I think one of them, if I understood it correctly, was it like a video game of sorts, like dealing with mental
It was. I wasn't. I didn't
illness?
quite understand how that worked,
Yeah.
but yeah, it is. Yeah.
It seemed to gather that, or like to me, as I was looking at it, it looked more like maybe one of those computer programs you would do a lot in like middle school or something, like
Right.
for a class. But I mean, I think it's cool. There's a lot of people are looking at a lot of different ways to deal with depression and other
Depression.
mental illnesses.
I mean, yeah, because like even for BYU students, we have the app called Sandvelo. So there's a
Yeah,
lot of different ways that we can do things and overcome depression. So
yeah. I think looking at it, probably the two big takeaways that I had from it go like right along with yours. And the first was just the fact that, well, I guess this one kind of will lead into what you talked about, but it's the fact that depression oftentimes is going to come back for most people, and it may even come back worse. It's likely that it will come back as a worse, it'll hit people harder than it did the first time. And I know that comes across a bit as a downer almost at first, because you think, oh, great, I have depression now. It sucks. It's not something I want to go through. And now you're telling me that it could potentially even get worse. But I think the way to look at it, and I think it's really the reality of most things in life, it's we grow with the challenges. So like the challenge may get worse, but our ability to handle it grows exponentially with it. You know, I think about the things to me that were hard in my life as a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old. You know, like some of my first memories, I don't have very many, but like the time when my mom got mad at me or whatever for like not cleaning up my toys. And I just thought like life was awful. You know, like at the time in my little mind, it just seemed so awful. But like now it's like, oh, that's not really a challenge. Like obviously my challenges have got a lot worse. Well, I don't know necessarily worse, but a lot harder. And you got stuff dealing with school and work and just different relationships with friends and family. And it's a lot more to deal with, but at the same time, I don't feel like I can't handle it necessarily, as long as I'm keeping myself in a good position, which I think is really key for people with depression, is to realize, hey, it's going to come back and it may be worse, but if I prepare for it, it can be so much better.
So that kind of reminds me of a quote that I saw a while ago, where it says, "You've survived 100% of your bad days," and that's basically all of us right now. Yeah. We've all survived all of our bad days, and that doesn't mean that we can't continue doing so. Who knows? Maybe in 20 years, Todd, you'll be like, "What the heck? College was so easy. That's a piece of cake. What I'm dealing with right now is like 5 times as hard as that." You know what I mean? You never know what we're gonna experience. Not saying that we should be depressed about our future, but knowing that we can grow and become better is definitely like a picker up for me. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's taking there's two different perspectives you can take it in. There's the one where it's like, oh, like life's awful and going to be miserable. Or you can look at it like, hey, you know what? I've made it. Yeah, it's not always been perfect, but I do have hope that things can there's still going to be good things, you know, even amongst all my bad days, there's still a lot of good days. And I think anybody can say that, even somebody who's dealt with awful depression. I think if you really look at your life, you can find at least a few times in your life that things have been good. And you're guaranteed to have more of those times in your life.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I guess my thought was a little bit more along the facts of the benefits of online interventions. Like going back to what I was saying, it depends on the person, on if it's going to be helpful for you and if it's something that you maybe should think about doing. I know, like, I use some online interventions, I guess you could say, because of the app. And I do find that it does help me quite a bit, actually, just to like record my feelings throughout the day, or even just once a day. And then sometimes, like I said, they'll give quotes. I got that quote from the app, you know. And just because it helps me doesn't mean that it's not going to help somebody else. But maybe it doesn't, you know. Maybe for you, Todd, it's better for you to go see a therapist. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah.
And
go ahead.
I was just going to add real quick, just on the slight chance, I'm just realizing there may be some people that watch this and may not really know exactly what we're talking about on online interventions, because the study goes through a lot of different ones. Yeah. And there are a lot. We can't cover them all, but I think some good examples of some online interventions that we can all be involved in, or you can search up. One of them you talked about was the app called Sanvello. I know it's supposed to be it's a pretty good app. And then there's also like emergency online interventions like texting or chat lines for suicide prevention. There's also different group therapies online, or different groups that gather together online for group therapy. So those are just a couple. That's really not a lot of them, but that kind of hopefully gives anybody who may be wondering, what are you guys talking about on online interventions? Those are some of the things that we're talking about.
Right. But yeah, it's just amazing, like, what is out there though, because you just named 3 right there, and it's just amazing. Like, we're all different. All of us are going to find something that works with us, and we just have to get out there and find it.
Yeah.
I think like the biggest thing is we just have to have a plan. Like, we have to recognize that we struggle, and we have to set up a plan to find the way out. Maybe I should say out, but find the way to get better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In fact, I know kind of a personal experience in my own life. One of my friends struggles really badly with depression and suicidal thoughts. And life's just been really tough for him, unfortunately. But he's come to me twice now, actually, where we've kind of laid out a plan, both for him and for myself, helping him on different resources that we could go to at different steps and stages to help prevent his depression from getting so bad that he would potentially commit suicide or anything. And I think that's a really good thing with these online intervention, or these different sources online for online intervention, is to create that plan. No, okay, so if things are just absolutely awful, I have the suicide hotline or the chat line. And if I just can't go any further, then I definitely need to go to those two, or one of those two places, if not both. Or even tell somebody else and have them reach out for me if for some reason I feel like I can't reach out for myself. And then other ones, it's just kind of creating that like safety net, basically, is what it is. So that's, you have the things hooked to the wall, and then you have everything else in the middle that creates the net. And so it's saying, okay, well, I know of this therapy office that allows people to kind of chat with therapists on and off throughout the day through online stuff. And, if I'm having a question, don't feel like I can get into therapy, I can go there if I need something answered or talked about. Or I also know about this support group that I can also reach out to. And also some really good ones are like actual friends that really close friends, and saying, okay, I know that I can reach out to A, B, and C if I need somebody specific to talk to. Because unfortunately, your friend number A is not always going to have time 100% of the time, and neither is person B, but C might. And so between 3 or 5 people, having a few people set up, hey, people I can reach out, then it really helps create a good net where it's like, okay, there's kind of a hole over here, but there's enough stuff everywhere else to keep me up.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely just right there, just setting up a plan, knowing what works for you. Maybe that's testing a few things out. I know, like, for me personally, you have to just kind of get in, test it out, see if it works, and if it doesn't, find something new.
Yep.
So, I don't know. It's a guess and test until you find the right plan, the right option for you, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of, in that, you just covered the second thing that I was going to talk about, just getting into. And I think, at least for me, that was really the big takeaways for the article. I mean, there's a lot of other little information in there, especially if you're, like we said, into the scientific stuff. you like that heavy reading, or you just need something to put you to sleep. It's a good thing to get into and read and understand the little things. But I think those are really the big takeaways to help people understand. I don't know, Jacob, you got anything else?
I know you mentioned this beforehand. I don't know. It's just like, so the article that we read last time was made in 2013, right?
Yeah.
And then this one was made roughly a year later. And you mentioned in the first article that we read, they said in their study that depression could become one of like the leading illnesses that we have in the world. And this one, they state just right off the bat, right on the introduction, they state major depressive disorder is reported as the leading cause of disability worldwide. So
Yeah.
it's amazing to see the progression of one article to the next.
Yeah.
Just as we study more and as we do research, we can find out different ways that can help us and combat these different challenges that we face.
Yeah. In just 1 year's time, that's a pretty big jump from potentially being something to like, no, this is the leading cause of disability in the world. Like,
Right.
and I think that says something too to help people understand. Obviously, suppression has progressed through history in becoming a bigger issue. And so I know sometimes people's complaints are, oh, older generations just don't quite understand it with mental illnesses. And you have to kind of remember it's like mental illnesses were around in older generations, but one, they either weren't explained the same as they were now, or like we see here, cases, the number of cases were a lot smaller too. And so it's a lot fewer people know how to deal with it. So it's kind of our job to learn how to and pass that on to the world right now.
Right. We're the way of the future, right?
Yeah. But it's good, the nice thing is good things, even though depression is a hard disease, or well, not really disease, but mental illness to have to deal with, it's not it doesn't have to be life ending, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. It's a lot of good things can still come out of any person's life with it, and there's a lot of ways to help make life better if you do have it still. So
Right.
or you do have to deal with it.
No, I totally agree. We can definitely overcome it. It's something that we can do. We have the potential of doing it. Just have to find the way that works for us, make a plan, and go with it.
Yeah. Well,
sounds easier said than done, but
yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of things are that way, but we can still find ways to do it.
Right.
And with that, now I kind of want to make a transition into our next segment, the part that or one of my favorite parts, but it's the looking for the good, a good news article, or whatever's happening good in our lives, locally, nationally, or globally that we want to talk about. And we found a pretty good one, I feel like, to talk about today. Jacob, do you want to share that?
Yeah. So I'll just right here at the very top. The article is called "Landlord Says He Won't Collect Rent in Response to the Coronavirus Outbreak." And as you read the article, it's really cool. The landlord has a sister who is struggling to pay rent right now because she gets paid hourly. And because of the coronavirus, a lot of the jobs are just laying people off because there's no work to be done. And so these people don't have the option or the ability to pay rent. And so, in response to the sister's predicament, the landlord is not collecting rent from his um, attendants, I guess is what it's called.
Yeah, as tenants.
And I think that's really cool to see somebody that is struggling and then be able to help in the way that he can.
Yeah, I think it's really cool too, because it's obviously not every landlord in the world is in a financial position that they can do that. Unfortunately,
Right.
some landlords are in just as tough a financial position as the people who are renting from them or who have bought from them. But at the same time, like obviously, like we talked about last time, you have excess or extra in an area in your life and you can share it. And for him, that was his excess or extra. And it's saying, hey, you know what? I can go a month. Maybe he'll turn it into 2 months or so. But he's like, I can go a little bit without charging rent to help some other people out.
Right. But I feel like if all of us could do that, it would be amazing. Just take what we have in excess and give it to those who don't.
Yeah. And I think an easy way to look to it, like pain issues that you can solve, is just saying, what's something that I've struggled with that I know how to help somebody with now? Or what's something that somebody close to me is struggling with that I can understand, that I can then help ease burden with? Because this guy definitely did it. Like you said, his sister was struggling, and he kind of realized, hey, wait a minute, other people are in that very similar or very same situation, and I may not be able to directly help my sister right now, but I can directly help some other people, and hopefully, I'm sure he still is doing what he can still to help his sister at the same time too, though.
Right. Yeah, no, I guarantee that he's still supporting his sister. But like you said, he's taking what he knows that he has, an extra, what he knows, that they're struggling and is helping them out. And that's amazing. So
Yeah, makes me feel good. I'm tired of hearing all the bad news. I'm glad there's some good stuff out there.
right? At least there's somebody that cares for somebody.
Yeah.
Now we just gotta do it.
Gives me some hope. Well, we want to thank everybody for listening, as always. And if you got questions, comments, or concerns about anything that we've said or talked about, please let us know in the comments or reach out to us in some other way if you have our other contact information.
Exactly. Have a great day.
Yeah, it's good to talk with you, Jacob. See ya.
Bye.